Voices. Let's huddle up. I'm your host, Lee Adams, and we're here with Cliff Barker, Cooper Sanders. I'm Lee Adams, and on our first episode, we looked at the 4A and 3A previews. On this episode, we're going to look at the 2A and 1A previews. And guys, we also have to reveal our first and second string all state team in the MAIS. It's going to be fun to be talking about this in our second episode, Clip.
Absolutely. We got a lot to look forward to here in tonight's episode, too. And part of that is going to be these teams that we're going to introduce. And there's some guys and some dudes on these second and third, or these first and second teams, rather.
Yeah. It's presented by C Spire. Give your business the home field advantage with C Spire, end-to-end business solutions serving 49 states, starting with yours. Get the technology you need today from C Spire. C Spire is customer inspired. And Cliff, you being the play-by-play man for the Tri-County Rebels, and Cooper with Leak Academy, we're looking for big football seasons from both of those schools, and we just love giving attention to all the schools in the MAIS this year and having a podcast entirely devoted to MAIS football on a weekly basis.
And back in episode 1, we already took a look at 4A and 3A, and now we're going to jump right into things and get going. Cooper, we're going to take a look at MAIS Class 2, 14 schools in 4 districts. And boy, there's some schools that not too many years ago were up in 3A, really making some noise, and with the realignment, ended up dropping back down to 2A. Some strong programs and a lot of competition at the 2A level of MAIS football.
Oh, absolutely. These are teams who have been good in other divisions and will continue to be good. Starting with District 1, Kirk Academy, Lee Academy, North Delta, and then Regents of Oxford. Regents last year, they didn't end up having the best year, but man, that quarterback, Zane, what's his last name? Cliff, do you know?
I do not. You put me on the spot, and I failed greatly.
Hey, it's okay.
I can find it within the next few minutes. But man, Regents is led by a really talented quarterback. North Delta, one of those teams with just a lot of athletes. You have Lee Academy, Mississippi. That's up there in Tupelo. They're going to be good. Lee Academy is going to be good. And Desi Monix leads that squad. Rushed for 2,000 yards last year. Desi Monix is a dude. And then Kirk Academy. Kirk's a team that's going to have some athletes. They're going to have some size. They're going to have talent, and they're going to have heart. And those are teams that are really tough to play as well.
Yeah, North Delta's a school, with a lot of tradition that's had some really good years in football in the past decade to a decade and a half, had a couple of down years, and they've kind of made a resurgence recently. And that North Mississippi district, I feel like, is going to be a tough district. But now we'll jump over and take a look at the Delta district, and you've got Carroll Academy, who's won at all levels of MAIS football. Greenville Christian, we all know the story of that. Greenville Christian, a lot of people think that McClendon at Greenville Christian had what was likely the most talented team in the history of the MAIS back during the COVID years. Greenville St. Joe, they've been strong for many years now. They've got a new coach over there. No more Coach Baker over at Greenville St. Joe. And then Indianola Academy there, a program that same story, been a little bit up and down, but has produced some good athletes throughout the years.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's going to be a really talented Carroll Academy. Their head coach, Bo Milton, actually, he was one of my PE coaches in elementary when I went to elementary at Winston Academy. Bo Milton, the head ball coach up there, he's been down there for a while, and he's had a lot of good teams. And when a coach is there for a long time, it's kind of like we talked about in episode 1. They're due. I mean, they're due to have a really good season. They're a well-coached team. Carroll's going to be something to look out for. I did get the last name of the kid. It's Zane Hill. He threw for 2,700 yards last year at Regent.
Yeah, and I hate to do this to you, Cooper, but there has been a coaching change at Carroll Academy. It is no longer Bo Milton at Carroll Academy, and I'm looking that up for you.
I had a brain fart. Excuse me for that then.
Well, that's okay. It's okay. We can't. There's a lot of teams to deal with. Can't deal with everybody all the time.
We are human.
Carroll Academy. Yeah, that's correct. Tommy Acey is the coach at Carroll Academy now.
Okay. We'll have to see what Tommy Acey has got for this Carroll squad. Like I said, I mean, they're players with heart down there. They're physical. They're a team that can be easy to coach if you're a good coach.
Yes, they are. And now we move over to District 3. These District 3 and District 4, two very small districts, Oak Hill, Winona Christian, and Winston Academy. That's Louisville, Winona, and West Point. So that's that part of the state of Mississippi. And then over in District 4, we've got a district that's a little bit random. You've got Canton Academy, Manchester Academy up in Yazoo City, but look at the third one in there. Centreville Academy, way over in Centreville. Somebody's going to do some traveling in that district as that the year goes on. But big news over at Centreville. You know what that big news is, don't you, Coop?
New coach.
No more Coach Hurst.
Man, that's
50 years was enough.
And this is our time. You gotta give him his flowers.
Yeah, and
you can't say a bad thing about the man.
447 wins, 10 state titles, and what better way to go out than with the big win in the state championship last year, and then hands the reins right over to one of his assistant coaches, Coach Brian Stutzman. And that's a team that's probably going to be ready to play some football this year under the new coach.
Absolutely.
I got to meet him last year, Coach Hurst I was referring to, and just the idea of any coach being at one school for 50 years. He took one break, 1 year, and missed and came right back. And other than that, 50 straight years. I believe he took off 1 year to see his grandchild play football. And what a class act Coach Hurst was, and it's just not going to be the same without him.
But what will be the same is that quarterback Cade Redmond, a real big player down there at Centreville Academy, an all MAIS pick back in 2025, and he'll be returning to lead that Centreville squad. You know, anytime you go down there to Centreville, you know the colors you're going to see. You're going to see that LSU scheme, that purple and gold down there at Centreville Academy, and they take pride in it. And I think that's a school that might be able to have a big year this year as well. And I'm assuming somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Is that brothers Preston and Cade Redmond down there at Centreville?
That's right.
Cliff, I'm gonna go ahead and say Centreville. I think they're a team that's going to be seeking to prove that they've still got it. New coach is going to be seeking to prove that, hey, we can still win. It's like, hey, what Coach Hurst did was awesome. Thank you, Coach Hurst. But it's his time now, and this is his team, and it's that team's chance to prove. I'm really pulling for them to see what they can do in 2A, but I promise you, mark my words, it is the only team that wears purple and gold that I will pull for to win in football.
Okay, the other two players we've got marked as players to watch: Carson Pham, a linebacker from up at Winston Academy, a senior, and then the other one, James Haven Joyner, a wide receiver up at Winston Academy. And now let's drop down, and guys, you want to go ahead and take a look at our picks for Class 2A?
Let's look at
this year.
One thing I would add about Canton Academy, they had a tough year last year, but they've got a real player to watch in Gunnar Bunch, who does it at wide receiver, at safety, and returning punts and kicks. He's a really good athlete with a lot of speed, very explosive. Gunnar Bunch of Canton Academy, a player to keep your eye on this year.
Our 2A predictions for this year. Cooper, you're up first. Tell us about your picks for the top squads in 2A football.
I got 2 words, Cliff. Desi Monix.
Yeah, I thought for a minute that when you put the number 1 there, it may just say Desi Monix beside it, but you did go back and put Lee Academy there.
I did go by and change it. You know, back when we were sending these in the group chat, I had to mess you all a little bit. I just put Desi Monix as number 1. Man, the thing is he's a great player. He's going to lead that team. That team does have a ton of other great athletes to help him. You know, it's never a one-man crew. But the thing about Lee this year is they have that weapon in Desi Monix. I don't care how your defense is, how your offense is. If you give up 28 points on defense, Desi Monix is going to go score 5 touchdowns and you'll have 35 points. I mean, that guy is that good, and he is going to dominate teams on the 2A level. Centreville, I mean, they're coming back. I mean, they are showing that they still got it. They're showing that, hey, this is still a story program without Coach Hurst. I mean, they're going to miss him. It's going to be sad. There may be some bumps in the road, but it's still that same love for the game. Still the same guys that are going to fight hard. Still the guys that are going to be well coached because they were formed by a coach that made you have to be coachable. Those guys, they're going to come back and they're going to be seeking another state championship. I think Winona can shock some folks this year. I think they're going to be very talented on the 2A level there in that district with Winston. That'll be a knockdown drag out in that district. But the Stars, one of the best helmets in all of the MAIS, that might, actually be why I put them at 3 is solely because of their helmet. But Winona, they always have some athletes. They've had some bad years. They've had some tough years. They've also had some good ones. They've had a lot of players come through, but those guys love football. They're going to fight hard, and I think they can shock some folks this year in 2A. St. Joseph coming in at 4 from Greenville. I mean, St. Joe, that's another story program down there in the Delta. Athlete after athlete after athlete after athlete after athlete. They're going to get after it. They're going to run you over. They're going to stop you on defense. St. Joe's going to be talented. They're going to be talented on the run game. They're going to throw the ball well, and they're going to play well defensively as well. St. Joe will be something to look out for in 2A. Then rounded up at 5, I got Oak Hill out of West Point. I mean, as you can see on my list, that division, Winona, Oak Hill, and Winston, I mean, it's going to be a drag out between those 3 teams. Oak Hill, I think, might get the edge over Winston this year, but I think all 3 of those teams have a chance to be in the Division I playoff. Oak Hill out of West Point, they have a lot of athletes. They were a young team a season ago, and they're bringing back a lot of guys, a lot of contributors, a lot of key contributors, not just guys who did small things, but guys who did big things for Oak Hill. Last season wasn't the season they wanted, but they're going to come back. They're going to come back with vengeance. Winston, and I believe they played Oak Hill in the Division II state championship last year in 2A, if I'm not mistaken. I know Winston won that Division II state championship, but I'm pretty sure they played Oak Hill, if I'm not mistaken. Do you know, Cliff?
I'm taking a look at it right now.
But
that was Winston Academy 20, Oak Hill 0 in the championship last year.
Oh, yeah. So moving on to Winston. Winston, they lost a lot of key defenders. But let me tell you about a guy. His name's Kingsley Ashford. Kingsley Ashford is going to be extremely talented at that wide receiver position. I talked to a coach from Winston earlier today. Man, he's going to be good. I watched him during baseball season this year a few times. My roommate, he coached baseball at Winston last year. Also, we played them twice. We covered 2 of those games. And Kingsley Ashford, I mean, he's just an athlete. Whether it's on the court, on the diamond, on the gridiron, that man is an athlete at the wide receiver and defensive back position. He's going to be good. The only reason that I don't have Winston above Oak Hill is what's hurting them this year is Winston has about 22 players on their roster, about 22, 24 players on their roster. You got a lot of guys that are going to have to play both ways, and that's with a lot of teams. But it's pretty much your same. I think they have around 13 different starters. Those guys are going to be gassed each and every game. I think that's going to hold them back in some games. I think that's going to hurt them. I mean, I think the guys have the motor, but man, that's a lot of football to play, and that takes a wear and tear on you in some big football games.
Lee, what about your picks?
Well, I've got Oak Hill in there at 5, so we all agree that Oak Hill either 4 or 5 in the 2A this season. And I'm looking at Centreville being the best and not missing much of a beat at all with the retirement of Coach Hurst. You've got too many athletes down there, and it's just a place people in the area want to go and play football there. They want to represent that purple and gold. Sorry, I don't mean to say it again in front of you, Cooper, but they're into it down there in Centreville. And, community support, crowd support, loud crowds, loud PA systems, that all helps Centreville, of course, just with their home games, but they carry a lot of swagger when they go on their away games as well.
Yeah, and when
And
you take
St. Joseph Greenville, I've got it too, which we all have them anywhere from 2 to 4 on our list. Lee Academy, I have at number 3, and North Delta, I have in there in the 4 spot, with Oak Hill being 5, and Winston from Louisville being that sleeper team for me this year.
And my thoughts, Coop, you kind of set me up for this a few moments ago. You were talking about the number of starters on some of these teams. And to me, that's one of the big things you got to consider with 2A and 1A football is that injuries can be so much more devastating for a team at this level. And I also think it opens the door up for some other teams that you don't necessarily expect to be up there. When you got a lot of Ironman football, you're 1 or 2 injuries away from having a changed season. And you never know. We never know who might come out of nowhere in 1A or 2A. But when you talk about a team driven by one man, I don't mean to discount any other player on the team. I know there's other talented players on this Lee Mississippi team, this Lee Academy team, but Desi Monix is the real deal. I mean, this is a kid that I mean, we're going to talk about him again later, as you can expect, but I mean, this is a kid that's legit. This is a kid that can make that team go. He's going to have another huge year. Centreville, they're going to come back strong. Stutzman's a veteran coach. He's been there learning behind Hurst. I don't know how much change we'll see. Hurst was a disciple of the double wing and the wing tee and the flex wing and all those kinds of things. And that man loved to counter. Oh my gosh, he loved to counter Trey. I can't believe you're not going to continue to see some of that this year, but I don't doubt that you don't see the field get spread a little bit more this year as well. I'll be curious to see what Centerville looks like this year. St. Joe, they're just always athletically loaded, and that's a tough place to play too. That is a field that's so much different than anywhere you will play in the MAIS. The sidelines are pushed back so far. It's got big, tall lights. It just feels like a bigger field, and it feels like the fans are so far removed from the field, and it can almost be a little bit of an intimidating place to play. I'm going to piggyback off of Cooper and say Oak Hill's a team that I think's on the upswing. Got a lot of athletes. They've had their struggles lately, but Oak Hill's kind of turning that corner. Winston, a once storied program, a program that back in the late 90s and early 2000s was a dominant force in the state of Mississippi. They struggled a little bit as of late, but a couple of years ago had a solid squad. They've got a lot of good athletes up there as well. And then more of the same. North Mississippi athletes, my sleepers, North Delta up in Batesville, Mississippi, and Kirk and Grenada. Kirk has been a solid team the last few years. They've been in a couple of state championships. They've got a lot of athletes, got a good baseball program as well, always pretty solid in basketball. And North Delta, you just never know what you're going to get out of the Green Wave up there in North Delta. And I think they could be a program to look at this year in 2A football. But I think 2A is going to be very interesting. And I think 2A, to me, is the classification that we're most likely to see somebody come out of nowhere that none of us are expecting to go in and contend for a state championship.
Yeah. And North
Delta has a player by the last name of Carlisle that's really good both ways. And yeah, you're right. They can come up and surprise people. They lost a home game against Canton and then was able to end Canton Academy's season in the playoffs last year. So they have some really good athletes on that team and a lot coming back for their senior year this season. And this part of the podcast brought to you by the Army National Guard. That's one thing about the National Guard is they always have to be ready 24/7. It doesn't matter if it's middle of the night or Christmas Day. They're poised to help keep us safe, and they're serving the state and nation with pride. Find out how you can be part of it. The Mississippi Army National Guard. Coming up, we've got 1A, 8-man football to take a look at. Lots of teams there, and one that's showing up there in District 3 that's no longer going to be fielding a football team is Hillcrest Christian. And that's sad what happened to that school's football program, a once proud team.
Yeah, but class
in District 1.
Yeah, Class 1A, 8-man football. That's the largest division now in MAIS, 31 schools. There are 2 divisions, Division 1 and Division 2. But if you take a look at District 1, you got that's kind of the Delta division, North Sunflower, Delta Streets, Delta Academy, and Deer Creek, all schools that have a history of some good football programs, especially Deer Creek and Delta Academy. The Delta Streets, a newcomer to the MAIS, haven't been there that long. It's a unique school, but it's a school that's trying to put things together and trying to build that program up there in 8-man football. Now you go over and look at District 2. That's Benton Academy, Central Holmes, Christ Covenant, Humphreys Academy, and Porter's Chapel. And of course, Humphreys Academy, you got Coach McClendon up there that's put together a good 8-man football program there as well. Central Holmes over in Lexington, they've had a lot of football success in the past and are looking to get things going again in 8-man. And Benton, Benton's a school that's had some big time football programs in the past. I mean, everybody knows Ben Beckwith. I mean, a kid that played on one of the best offensive lines ever at Mississippi State, a Benton Academy graduate that made it big. Then we move over to District 3, Ben's Fords, Discovery Christian. We're going to mark Hillcrest off that list, but then we're going to step down to Newton Academy. Newton Academy, a team that won a state championship in 11-man football just a few years ago. The numbers are a little bit down, and now they're getting it done in 8-man football. Prentice Christian and Silva Bay Academy. And we got Coop back with us. Cooper had a little technical difficulty, but he's back. Coop, I've got us all the way over to District 4 in 8-man. You want to talk about District 4 for us?
District 4 and 8-man. Yeah, pulling it up right now. So excuse me, I'm almost there.
Oh, I'll get it for you. I'll let you join in Division 2. Claiborne Academy, Prairie View Academy, and River Oaks. And boy, River Oaks, I don't know if you guys have been to River Oaks before, and I don't know if they have it anymore, but back in my coaching days, I coached a game over at River Oaks, and they have the Denver Broncos style midfield logo. And back in the 2000 teens, they had a logo that it was the biggest logo I have ever seen on a football field. I think it went from 25 to 25. That's the biggest memory I have of going over there and coaching and calling a football game. Is I feel like they must have painted for 5 days and used 200 gallons of paint, because I have never seen a midfield logo like that River Oaks Mustang that they had 10 or 15 years ago over there at River Oaks.
Man, that's cool. There's a few teams that my heart just goes out to, and I just want to pick them solely for stuff like that. Like, solely for stuff like the logo or the mascot. I'm going to talk about a team like that in a second that made one of my lists just because of their mascot. But,
I think I know which one that is. I think I'm ahead of you there.
Oh yeah. But so we're back in Division 2 now?
Yeah, take off on Division 2, District 5.
All right. Here it is right here. DeSoto, the Thunderbirds. Man, wouldn't it be so cool to see the Thunderbirds win a state championship? But then right at then you have Lee Academy in Arkansas, Marvell Academy, not Marvel, to get confused with the superheroes. We'll see how super they are this year. And then Tunica Academy, we'll see if they can stay out of the casino and get to the football field. That'll be a competitive 8-man district.
They won't have a problem anymore. The casino got torn down recently, but there is that's another great mascot. You've got the Thunderbirds over at DeSoto. You know Tunica's mascot?
Tunica is it the Devils?
It's the Blue Devils. The Blue Devils. The Tunica Blue Devils. Another good mascot.
Moving on to District 6. This is going to be a district that one team's going to dominate, but it's also going to give one of these teams that hasn't been as successful in years past a chance to get a good playoff seat. You got Calhoun Academy up there in Calhoun County. Columbus Christian, that's a team that's going to be good in 8-man. They're always good. They always have been. I'm willing to say they almost always will be. Hebron Christian, they're a team that they've struggled. They don't really have the numbers. It's a really, really small school. But, man, they're giving these guys an opportunity to go out there and play football. And it's good. They have a heart for the game. They struggle years in. They just really don't have the numbers. They don't have the size. And then Kemper Academy, that's a team that I actually covered a few years back. I covered them for 4 years in the Kemper Messenger. They're a team, they've had a few coaching changes over there. They just got a new head coach last year, Charlie McNeese, who came over as an assistant at Russell Christian Academy. Russell, not an MAIS team, but they dominate Alabama 8-man. They're in Meridian, but they play 8-man in Alabama. They got a new head coach who has a lot of experience with state championships there. I think Kemper's going to be on the rise. Actually, saw a kid from Kemper Academy, 8-man football player, the other day, had a visit and got an offer to Sewanee University.
University of the South.
Former SEC, Sewanee. Mm-hmm. So I mean, they're going to have some athletes in that district, and one of those teams that isn't usually as good is going to get an opportunity to be competitive in their district. Moving on to District 7, you got Franklin Academy out of Louisiana, Heritage Christian, not to be confused with Heritage Academy. Heritage Christian, actually new to the MAIS. Cliff, do you know what conference they played in before? Do you know the name of the conference? I do.
I do not, but no, I don't. But I want you to tell me. You've piqued my curiosity.
It's the Tri-State Christian Conference.
Wow.
Tri-State Christian Conference. They have schools from Arkansas, Louisiana, and Mississippi. And I think that Heritage moved over here for football because I don't think the TSCC has football yet. But then you got Tensas Academy out of Louisiana and Wilkinson County Christian. Wilkinson, a team that has athletes year in, year out. They've been successful in baseball. We'll see what they can do on the gridiron.
Well, Wilkinson County is a school that not too long ago was highly competitive in 11-man football. They played 2 state championships against Tri-County. Tri-County won the first one. Wilkinson won the second one, and they had some big-time athletes that could really go, and I think they brought some of that to 8-man football as well, a lot of speed. And, after we cover this last district, I want to have a little discussion about the differences in 8-man football, but speed means more in 8-man than in any division of football. So let's go ahead and take a look at District 8, and then we'll come back and have a little discussion about some of the nuances of 8-man football.
Yeah, District 8, you got Briarfield Academy coming in from Louisiana. It's an all Louisiana district now, looking at it. Riverdale out of Louisiana, Tallulah out of Louisiana, and Union Christian. I'm going to be honest, I don't know much at all about any of these teams. But, hey, they're going to get after each other. They're going to hate each other because they're all Louisiana schools in that district. And they're like, hey, we got to prove that we're the best team out of the other state. These teams, they're going to get after each other. I think it'll be fun to see.
Yeah, Briarfield's a school that's got a lot of football tradition. They've had a lot of success in the past, had some big-time teams back in the last couple of decades, and it's a school that takes pride in football, and they've had some recent success in 8-man. But last year's the champions in Division I and Division II, River Oaks won Division I last year. DeSoto won Division II, and our players to watch, Nate Smith down at Claiborne, Toby Matthews over at Tinsall, and Brody Applewhite at Ben's Ford. And I think that sets us up. You guys ready to take a look at our picks for 1A football?
Let's do it.
There they go. Coop, take it away.
Columbus Christian, storied program. They're going to be good. Columbus Christian, they're fast. And that's what we talk. The speed is key to 1A. They always have a good game plan. That's another one of the keys. And they really outman every team they play, not just in numbers, because they're one of those teams that they have. This is a controversial thing in 8-man football. There's a lot of teams with a lot of guys on their sideline. They're a team that has a lot of depth year in, year out. Not sure what their numbers look like this year, but I remember in my time covering Kemper, Columbus being one of those teams that always had depth, always had a full sideline. They're going to come ready to go. Then I got Newton County Academy coming up next. I mean, they're the same way. Those two teams are going to get after each other. Newton County Academy, they're a team that people don't realize that school produces athletes. They're one of those schools that, athletes, a lot of them tend to try to get out of to go play somewhere else. And then you got those guys who are loyal and stay. Guys like Cooper Savelle, who I think Cooper Savelle could go be talented at Newton County High School. You had guys a few years ago, Kemp Alderman. We saw what he did on the baseball field.
That one was on the tip of my tongue. That guy was a player, and he was a great football player as well.
Exactly. There's a guy who kicked at EMCC a few years ago for us, Jackson Bunyard. I mean, they're a team that's going to have athletes all over the field. And those guys that love Newton County Academy are going to stay at Newton County Academy, and they're going to continue to just pour into that program and give back to it. Humphreys is a team that I think could make a lot of noise this year. I mean, they're a good ball club. They have a lot of athletes. down there. The few times that I remember covering them with Kemper, they were good. Humphreys made a lot of noise. Humphreys was fast. Humphreys was strong, and they're going to be talented. River Oaks, like we talked about last year, they won a state championship. They're losing a lot of guys, but they're gonna come back strong. They're still gonna go out there. They're gonna play their game. They're gonna go out there. They're gonna fight, and they're gonna try to win some ball games. Briarfield, the same way. I don't know much about Silva Bay, but the only reason I put Silva Bay as my sleeper is because in 2014, when I'm about to age myself here, when I was 10 years old and just getting into loving Ole Miss football, Cody Pruitt was that dude. And Cody Pruitt is a Silva Bay native. He was there when they were 8-man. But he was there when they were 11
Yeah, it was
man. Silva
11.
Bay now 8-man. But Cody Pruitt was an absolute dog. He was my first ever favorite Ole Miss player, and that's why I put Silva Bay as my sleeper, honestly.
Yeah, I had to film prep back in my coach's days because there was a chance we were going to meet Silva Bay in the playoffs, and they actually got eliminated before they made it to us. So I never got to coach against Cody Pruitt, but he was unbelievable. He had a little bit of a nagging knee injury. I don't want to give false facts, but either his junior or senior year had a little bit of a nagging knee injury, and I can remember doing film prep and watching a game where he didn't play in the first half, nursing that knee injury, and at halftime they were down 1 or 2 touchdowns. And in the second half, I think he touched the ball 4 times, and all 4 times he scored a touchdown. So it was it was legit. He was a for real player. But yes, Silva Bay has always got some players, and that's a tough place to go play. I don't know if you've ever been to that field down in down there around Silverina and Bay Springs, but that's a tough place to go play as well. So anyway, we said we are going to get to that discussion about 8-man football. So don't let me forget that when we get through with these picks. But Lee, go ahead with your picks for 8-man.
Well, I have Riverdale in at number 1, the team that came to play Canton last year, and it's kind of like borderline between them being 8-man and 11-man football. It was no problem for them to add 3 players to the mix and take on a Canton Academy team last year on the road and beat them by 30. And like you were mentioning before, a lot of these teams do seem to have a lot of players on the sideline and more depth than would be normal, obviously, if they were having to put 11 out there at the same time. Columbus Christian I have in there at number 2, Delta number 3, and I'm not even sure why I have Porter's Chapel in there at number 4 out of Vicksburg. But other than to say there's nowhere to go but up for that football program, and if not now, then when will they get into the top 5 in 1A statewide? And I have River Oaks in at my 5 spot that's not listed there, and my sleeper being Silva Bay. And yes, I have been to that stadium back when I was broadcasting for JA one year. They went and played a road game down there, and it is an intimidating place to play. And all around the football stadium on the sidelines on both sides, it was back to back to back Confederate flags all over the place for those Rebels. I've never seen that many Rebel flags, not at an Ole Miss football game, but at a high school game. Was my one lone trip to Silver Bay, and a successful night for Jackson Academy that night, as I recall. So that's my top 5, and my sleeper being Silva Bay.
Yeah, I lived down in Jasper County for a few months at one time, and man, that's just a football county. You got schools like Heidelberg, Bay Springs, and Silva Bay, all always going to be good at football.
And my top 5 picks, I actually probably have a little bit of omission, not putting Columbus Christian in there, but I went a different direction. I'm going with Coach McClendon over at Humphreys. You got a McClendon at the helm. That's a storied name in Mississippi MAIS football, and I like the Humphreys Academy Rebels. And then Prairie View, that's a tough program from down there in Louisiana. River Oaks as well. They've got a chance to make some noise. We've all talked a little bit about Silva Bay. I went ahead and stuck them in the top 5, and then Newton Academy. That Newton Academy is known for producing athletes, as we talked about at length a few moments ago, and they could make some noise as well. And then for my sleepers, Benton on the edge of the Delta and Deer Creek over in the middle of the Delta. That's just 2 teams that I think that's just in my heart. I'd like to see them have a little bit of success. So I'm going to throw them in there with a hope and a dream and hope they make some noise this year. But I think it's kind of a good point right here quickly, Cooper and Lee. to just discuss just a little bit about the game of 8-man football. It's a little bit different game, a little bit different pace, but there's still a lot of variety in there as well. You still, believe it or not, have 8-man football teams that play power football, and you have 8-man football teams that spread the field and try to take advantage of all the space.
I will say this, and this is no disrespect to that coach, but I covered a coach at Kemper Academy, who, and this is just to just explain to you the difference of 8-man football from 11-man football. This coach, he took the head coaching job at Kemper Academy for a year, just kind of helping them in transition time. This coach was the defensive coordinator at D2 Faulkner. He was on Cutcliffe's staff at Ole Miss. He was on Dabo's staff at Clemson. He was a head coach at a JUCO in this state, and he was a head coach at two very prominent public school programs. He didn't win many games that season at Kemper Academy. The thing is, it's just he is an incredible football coach, but the adjustment to that game, the 8-man game, it is designed for 8-man coaches and 8-man players. It's a completely different game of football, and defensive coaches, 8-man's not your thing, because you will be mad every single game at your defense in 8-man, because it's a high scoring sport.
Yeah, I always enjoy watching it at the state championships, and one of the reasons why is this: you would think with just 3 players missing that it wouldn't create that much space, but gosh, there is so much more space on the field. It's so much tougher on defensive backs, and there's so many more big plays because there's just not as much second and third level support defensively. And when an athletic player gets in the open field, plays tend to be big, and you see some games where the scores are unbelievable. The combined scores up around and above 150 points.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I would say about 8-man football as well. Is you're not going to see many 17-13 final scores, and you get exposed when you don't have the speed. And I just don't really can't get my head around what the defensive backs and the safety men have to go through to guard that whole field with that few of players on. It is a completely different game or sport than 11-man football, and it just baffled me to see Riverdale be able to do both and play some 11-man football and be really good and be dominant in the 8-man game. It's hard for me to understand how you can coach players where to line up exactly and where to step when the ball's snapped in 8-man football versus 11-man football. It's complicated. And this
Also,
portion of the show brought to you by Genuine Mississippi. It's pronounced genuine, not genuine, right? What do you guys think? It's 3 of us. Let's decide. Genuine.
I'm a genuine fan.
I would say genuine. I'm not the smartest guy in the room. Don't let the flag back there confuse you. I'm a Mississippi State graduate, so if I make mistakes, that's what it's going to be on. But I think that's genuine.
Well, it has Mississippi is the main word in these 2 words, but they're both equally as important, I guess. Genuine means right here, grown, raised, crafted, made. Genuine Mississippi, they have a website. It's Genuine MS, just like you see on the screen there. GenuineMS.com if you want to find out more. Coming up on our podcast of Varsity Voices, MAIS, we're going to be looking at our picks for the first and second team all state football team. And we put our heads together and came up with this list for second team all
I say we
state.
I say
Cliff,
we
you
run
want to
it
start us off?
backwards. Yeah, let's go second team first and let's save that first team for last. But that guy you're looking at right there wearing number 1, that's an athlete at Heritage Academy, and that is a well-rounded, complete quarterback and Josh Tate. That's going to be a kid that's going to make some noise, and he's going to put fear in the hearts of a lot of guys in 3A football. We talked back in episode 1, it looked like a leak in Tri-County show last year, but I think Heritage is going to be that new player in the game at 3A. And boy, how tough was it to stick this kid on the second team? Eric Beasley out of Jackson Academy. Cooper, how good is that kid?
That kid, I mean, he's unreal. I get to see him Friday night. He rushed for over 1,000 yards last year. I mean, he's extremely talented, and you'll see in a minute why we put him there. Due to some flexing, we running backs on your second and third team are going to be kind of your flex players due to there not being that many tight ends in the state. We had a tight end on the first team and one running back, kind of made the tight end the flex. So that's why you're seeing two running backs and you only see one on the first team. But man, Beasley, he's good. And Price is right there behind him. Jack Price is a very talented guy. I will make a note. Josh Tate, I've been told, goes by Juice, and he definitely has the juice. We've seen, you just go roll the film on him.
And
I should have mentioned right at the beginning of this that this is the Farm Families All-State team, and Mississippi needs farmers.
And we'll continue on down through the Farm Families All-State team, second team squad, as we said. Running back, Jack Price out of Magnolia Heights. The wide receiving core, Will Wash out of Amit, or we did correct that, Amit School. Kingsley Ashford over at Winston Academy, and Gage Warren. That's a kid that had a really good year last year with Wilcox throwing the ball to him. We're going to see if Chandler can make it happen again this year with with Gage Warren as a receiver. Now, an offensive lineman, Dalton Maddox. He's a kid that's dealing with a little bit of an injury now, but a big talent for Tri-County. Over there on the offensive line, Tanner Walsworth out of Leak Academy, Way McCoy from Washington Academy, Chase Wasson, a coach's kid. That's Philip Wasson's son, and that's a kid that's going to be a junior this year. And those coaches' kids tend to have good instincts and good abilities on the football field. And then from over at Kirk Academy, our last second team offensive lineman is Noah Abel.
Yeah, all those guys going to be down. T. Wally, I call him. Me and my new color analyst, Jason Morgan, called Tanner Walsworth T. Wally. He's going to be huge. He made a lot of big plays on defense last year. He's going to be just crucial for this offensive line. Walsworth's going to be good, man. Wasson, like you said, the coach's kid. I think the thing is with coaches' kids is that they're not worried about having to run at practice for messing up. They're worried what's going to happen at home when they mess up. So, I mean, Watson, he's going to be good. Abel, all these guys are going to be dominant. With the defensive line, you got Cade Redmond coming from Centreville Academy, Ty Rhodes from DeSoto, Caden Monk returning to Leak Academy. He was a good guy for them last year. Jack Woodall from Briarfield Academy, and then walk us through the linebackers, Cliff.
Jay Aldridge from down at Park Lane, Tyler Brown from Lamar, and Cale Graham from down at Wayne Academy. Those defensive backs, Aaron Goodman from Jackson Prep, Caden Jackson from Park Lane, Parker Brady from over at Canton Academy, Baird Kennedy from Jackson Academy, and that kicker, Luke Morrow from Lamar Academy.
Yeah, I mean, these are some good athletes on this second team. I mean, if your kid made this list, congratulations. Just because they're not on the first team list does not mean that they are not going to be an absolute dog this year.
And I think we're ready for the Farm Families of Mississippi. Oh, no, we're not yet.
Hold on before we reveal the first team All-State Farm Families list. We want to remind you about MDOT. We know you're going to lots of big games this football season, whether you're going to Oxford, you're going to Starkville, you're going to Hattiesburg, or wherever you're going on Friday nights. Be sure and download the MDOT traffic app. What they're going to do for you is give you the real-time traffic information as you're traveling to and fro, including road conditions and live cameras all across the state of Mississippi. MDOT will make sure you get to and from the big game safely. Drive smart and drive safe. This message courtesy of MDOT. I'm ready for a big drum roll. We're about to look at the first team, all state.
Here we go.
MAIS. There we go.
All right. And that guy you're looking at right there, we talked about him a lot tonight. That guy you're looking at, Desi Monix, if you go play Lee Academy, you will want to download the MDOT app before you get there because it is going to tell you, get out of the way. That guy will run all over your team. He's going to be just a dog this year for the Colts. I'm really anxious to see what he does. I'm not going to get a chance to watch him in person, but I'm going to be looking up film after the games. I expect us to get sent a lot of content on Desi Monix.
And so if we start off at the top, the first team quarterback, Brandon Overstreet from up at Magnolia Heights. We talked about him in episode 1. That's a kid that's really going to make that group go up there at Magnolia Heights. Desi Monix, of course, that running back, Mr. Get It All Done there at Lee Academy. The wide receiver core, Chris Willis from over at Heritage, Josh Parker from Jackson Prep, Easton Page, a kid you know a lot about, Cooper over at Elite Academy, and then our flex tight end, a kid that had to be included in there, Trent Buckley, an absolute beast down at Columbia Academy.
Yeah, Buckley is going to be dominant this year. He's going to run over some folks. All these wide receivers are very talented. Parker, Willis, Page, a returning 1,000-yard receiver from a year ago, and he's going to do even more this year. That man can get down the field. He can go up in the air and grab it over you. He'll outrun you. He'll outjump you. He'll outman you in the air.
And a couple of real players coming up on this offensive line. All these guys, but especially a couple of them we're going to point out. Manning Parks from over at Jackson Prep. Caden Moss, most likely the best offensive lineman in the state of Mississippi, committed to Ohio State. Andrew Gonzalez over at Hartfield. PJ Evans, another stud at Jackson Academy. And boy, you can't say enough about Caleb Unger over at MRA.
Yeah, those guys are going to be tough this year. I mean, I would hate to see an offensive line with all of them on there. If they somehow make it on the same state or all-star game team, I mean, that's going to be scary. That offense is going to be able to do whatever they want because that O-line is dominant.
And down on that defensive line, Houston Mullins from over at Tri-County. Cruz All-Britain. He's at Tri-County as well, a big-time defensive end last year. Caleb Myers over at Wayne Academy, and Joey Saki at Leak Academy.
And I think it's really cool, Cliff, that our D-line gets to be all 3A kids. You know, you of course expect this all-state team to be all 4A kids, but it shows you what 3A has. I mean, that's 4 3A kids on the defense line, and those are all kids that deserve it. All those kids are going to be dominant this year.
Yeah, and that linebacking core on the first team All-State, Gaines Reeves from Jackson Prep, Brogan McCloskey from Jackson Prep, and that bodes well for the Patriots with a couple of strong linebackers. And then an 8-man kid, Pernell Cork at linebacker. And then the defensive backfield, Jack Johnston from over at Leak, Trayson Baker from Briarfield, Brantley Burkery from Starkville Academy, a good pedigree with that Burkery name at Starkville Academy. And rounding things out at defensive back, Jalen Brown from Hartfield Academy.
I mean, yeah, this defense is just great defenders. I love that we get the 8-man representation with Pernell Cork. Gaines Reeves recently was voted as the Clarion Ledger's top linebacker this year. Of course, that is a fan voting thing, but still, I mean, he's going to be a dominant guy this year, one of the top linebackers in the state. He's got offers from a few Division I schools. He's going to be a guy to look out for, especially.
He's also the nephew of our governor. And so we'll see top man in Mississippi at lots of Jackson Prep games this fall. Looking forward to seeing him and expect him to have a dominant season. But there you have it. Especially the offensive line we're looking at on the first team. I would take these guys and take on the best from Alabama, and I would really love our chances against anybody.
Some pretty interesting games in week 1, Cooper and Lee. I'll throw a couple of them out there to you that we think may be good to look at. One you mentioned earlier, Cooper, Amit at Centreville. Also think we probably all want to take a look at Jackson Academy at Leak Academy, but another one I'm interested in, Lamar School over at Simpson Academy. I think those are 3 big games to take a look at here in week 0 in the MAIS.
Yeah, absolutely. Amit and Centerville, that is a huge, huge rivalry. I did some research before I asked someone I used to know in college who went to ASC if that rivalry had a name. Could not find out a name for that rivalry, but those folks hate each other down there in Southwest Mississippi. It's going to be a big rivalry game, and for it to be week 0, that makes it even more something to look out for. Amit is level division ahead of Centerville. Mitts in 3A, and they have a lot of athletes. They were almost my sleeper pick for 3A, and then I did my research, saw that their quarterback Zane Minton graduated, and it kind of steered me away. But they got a lot of athletes. Centreville, a lot of athletes. That's going to be a big time game.
Yeah, and as we wrap things
You
up
could say
tonight,
that use the same thing to describe Winston Academy taking on Carroll Academy too in week one. They're kind of uh, rivals in the same part of the state of Mississippi, and we look for them to be playing with a lot of emotion, especially for week one. Another game I'm interested in is seeing what Simpson Academy has this year, how the Cougars going to do over there in Meridian when they take on Lamar Friday night.
and you know, my last thought for tonight, I'm just going to leave you with this, Cooper, because I think we probably want to talk about it a lot more on the next episode. Is I think everybody's eyes are going to be on Madden, Mississippi, with JA traveling over to Leak. I'm really curious to see what we see out of Major Chandler running that offense over there for Leak, and they're getting the biggest test of the year right out of the gate from the Raiders out of Jackson Academy, the defending 4A Division I state champs.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. I'm looking forward to it. Hey, y'all tune in on the Basel Media Sports YouTube stream. JA will have it streamed too. It's going to be an amazing ball game.
I'm looking forward to it. Can't wait for football to get started. I'm excited about just going to the Jamboree Thursday night at Tri-County, and I thought I might make the trip to Madden, but I think I'm going to watch you Friday night, Cooper.
Oh, well, thanks. How kind of you, Cliff. I
Yeah, there you
appreciate that,
go.
man.
Well, I'm certainly looking forward to tuning in to both of you, Cliff Barker and Cooper Sanders, in your Leak and Tri-County Academy broadcast, and we'll be coming to you again next week with one game under our belt. We look forward to being here for you each and every week. We invite you to let people know about Varsity Voices MAIS version and like and share and tune us in every week all during the football season. Brought to you each week by C Spire. The best teams have the best rosters usually, and that's a great roster at C Spire. Advanced technology, C Spire, customer inspired. Have fun at your games this Friday night and look forward to talking with both of you gentlemen again next week.
Absolutely. I'm pumped for it.
Thank you. Can't wait.
That's it for Varsity Voices. Thanks for tuning in.